So we digitally transform the at-risk worker field experience. So these are folks that are not working in necessarily downtown Houston, downtown Calgary. These are folks that are out in the field. And as we all know, the further we go from downtown, the more challenging safety becomes. And so we want to make sure we keep those people safe through a variety of ways. One is to track those workers and understand where they are and make sure for their safety and whereabouts they are in a good safe space. And the second thing we want to do is we want to help organizations improve that safety culture.
Our mission, and we choose to accept it, is zero injuries and zero environmental impact. A healthy workforce and environment is key to our nation's continued success. The Mission Zero podcast is a deep dive with the industry's top experts into the health, safety, and environmental aspects of today's workplace. Our mission is to be a platform for new ideas and strategies that, when implemented, will improve our safety, our environment, and how we govern our business. We are making the world safer, and we're going to have fun doing it.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Mission Zero podcast, being recorded here in the acclaimed Flecha Azul Tequila podcast studio. Today I'm blessed to have two great guests, Cameron Barrett, CEO, and Jeff Boettiger, VP of U.S. Sales of Field Safe Solutions. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, great to be here.
Thanks for coming in. Before we dive in, I kind of just want to get started. You guys tell a little bit about yourself, your past work, what led you here, and I'll go ahead and start with you, Jeff. Go ahead.
So again, Jeff Boettiger, VP of Sales for Field Safe. Spent 18 years with Schlumberger, and prior to that, I was a vendor to Schlumberger, so in the software space, and so a number of different roles, and saw the advantages that Field Safe brings on the safety side, and saw some goods and bads in the oil patch, which we've all been through with the ups and downs, as well as good and bad from safety. And so excited to be part of this new team.
Cameron?
Yeah, great. Well, thanks again for hosting us. We
Do you go by Cameron or Cam?
Either one's great.
Okay.
Either one's great. Yeah, you bet. My friends call me Cam, so we can go with that.
All right.
I'll
take that.
My background is software and technology over the last 20 years, and increasing leadership roles in those organizations that I've worked with. And when we look at the world of safety, operational efficiency, operational excellence, all the things that go along with improving that safety culture, we at Field Safe just saw a great opportunity to advance where many organizations had tried, and we just took it kind of one step further to support the girls and guys in the field. And so that's our mission, and it's been a great ride so far.
I looking at your reading a little bit about you, I read you were president of the Huntington Society in Canada, and I thought that was very interesting because I didn't know what it was. Can you say a little bit about that and what that is?
Yeah, you bet. So I'm on the board. I'm on the board of the Huntington Society of Canada. Huntington's is a genetic disease. Very much, you might look at that individual and think they have MS, that type of a disease, and it's a genetic disease. And my family is impacted, and my mother is doing great, but she's one of the lucky ones. So certainly my opportunity to share some of my skills and expertise with an organization I very very much close to my heart.
I saw that. That's great. I'm involved in a charity called Triggers Toys here in the United States, and I like to see that people getting involved. It doesn't matter what you get involved in, as long as it's something. It's especially nice when it's close to you, and I kind of assumed it was probably close to you in some way, family or something, and that's nice to hear. So, but one thing I will make a complaint. I appreciate you letting us borrow your weather a couple of weeks ago. But next time, just you can keep that to yourself. We didn't do too well with that in Texas.
Yeah, that was something we certainly saw that on international news and really the strength of the people here. 2 weeks later we're back and
Back in saddle.
back in the saddle. So.
Literally back in the saddle. So that's great. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. Can you, one thing I want you to do first is, can you kind of give the audience a little bit of a in layman's terms, what exactly FieldSafe does?
Yeah, no, that would be my pleasure. So we digitally transform the at-risk worker field experience. So these are folks that are not working in necessarily downtown Houston, downtown Calgary. These are folks that are out in the field. And as we all know, the further we go from downtown, the more challenging safety becomes. And so we want to make sure we keep those people safe through a variety of ways. One is to track those workers and understand where they are and make sure for their safety and whereabouts they are in a good safe space. And the second thing we want to do is we want to help organizations improve that safety culture by taking all the information that's currently delivered in clipboards and big white binders covered in mustard and take all that and put it on the device that the user's used to interacting with on a daily basis. So that can be any Android, iOS, Windows device, that mobile device that people use to communicate with their kids and their families and take photos of, and all the interactions that they're common to those individuals, to make it really, really easy so that we drive that great change management and improve field adoption of these technologies that can really transform organizations. And that's our mission.
You mentioned tracking, and that's something I kind of read about. What are you doing differently in the tracking? How is it improved over what's currently out there, or what your competition?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we do a lot of things in a single platform. So it's not necessarily that we do everything better than all of our competitors. It's that we're safety focused and we do a lot of things in a single place, thus avoiding app fatigue. And having to go to 6 different places to do four different things. That said, in the tracking space, we use the mobile device to ensure that we're the GPS coordinates of that mobile device to ensure that we know where our people are at all times. And most organizations really, really struggle with knowing where those people are, viewing them on a web portal, a dashboard. We enable that, of course. And then as a key differentiator, we take all that data, we take all that data and connect it back into the authorities. So whether that's the sheriff's office, your local emergency response center, we can drive workflow in our platform all the way back to and including, emergency response type of activities. And so that's what our clients tell us is what they really enjoy about our platform.
What led you to this? I know you're a technology background. You're heavy technology. Jeff and I are, I guess we're both in oil sector more or less through our. But what led you to saying, okay, this technology, this is an answer. This is why I think this is a need, and what led to that?
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I got introduced to the 2 co-founders of FieldSafe and heard their story, and their story was one where one of the gentlemen, Alan Bradley, he was a land agent, and he was in a case of eminent domain with a landowner, and the landowner was none too pleased. And after a couple of trips back to have different, escalating conversations with the individual that Al made every effort to diffuse, a gun was pulled by the landowner, and there was no way for the organization that Al represented at the time to understand, where he was, what his risk factors were. And so Al decided there had to be a better way. And Paul Aberley, our other co-founder, was a process control automation engineer, and said, okay, I like where you're going, Al, but we can do more. So now let's not only do safety in the moment of managing the at-risk worker, but let's get proactive and take all of that paperwork and drive workflows in a digital way back to home office in real time. And so their two thoughts and ideas came together. And when they approached me about joining the organization, I clearly understood the need from their stories and understood that there had to be a better way, and that organizations would make those investments to keep their people safe if we could at the same time show them a return on efficiency and operational excellence, improve safety culture. We felt that would be the winning combination, and thus far it's been very good.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're taking, and again, correct me if I'm wrong about anything, but you're taking 7 or 8 tasks and putting it into one, making it, because I've been in the field working with safety people. They're doing reports after reports. I mean, it is a constant thing, and it does annoy them, and it does. It may take away from field training. It may take away from them going around their locations and saying, improving site safety. So, yeah, I can see it. I can see where that would be a big help in actually simplifying it a little bit for the guys to give them opportunity. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. So we have a major drilling manufacturer here who operates in the state of Texas as well as north of the border in Canada, but they were doing rig site walkarounds that were taking them, upwards of 40 minutes. They were completing this task 3 times a day across several hundred rigs. And utilizing our platform, we were able to get that down from around 40 minutes down to about 8 minutes. And so, great, we're going to give you 30 minutes back in your day. What are you going to do with that? And they immediately said more safety observations, more training of newer individuals, less experienced, to drive improved safety culture. So not only were they given the time back, they knew immediately what they would do with that time, and it wasn't one extra cup of coffee. It was driving that improved safety performance at the rig.
That jives with everything I've ever heard. They a lot of times they don't have time to do their jobs properly. They're constantly worrying about the minutia of bureaucracy, all the paperwork and everything. So something making that simpler does sound probably very appealing to them. Would you, if someone asked you, I guess, if your product is this a completely new idea? Is this an improvement over something that's previously there? How would you answer that? Just to someone, I guess, if you're talking to someone at Schlumberger, they're probably going to know the answer to that already. But some people aren't. Some companies, I would say, aren't as sophisticated. So how would you answer that question? Is it new or is it improvement?
Yeah. So I would say it's a marked improvement, and I would say it's a marked improvement for the enterprise client. Right? These are the largest organizations in the world. We have 10 Fortune 1000 organizations who utilize FieldSafe on a daily basis to drive business value for their organizations. And so we've done a few things differently, right? The first is we've built an enterprise platform that's scalable, secure, and sustainable, right? And so it's not that hard to build a cute little app. This is not that. This is that next level. And then, as mentioned earlier, we're device agnostic. So we enable the enterprise to deliver our platform across Android, iOS, Windows devices, Class 1 Div 1, Class 1 Div 2, Panasonic Toughbooks, and the like. And then third and finally, our platform is built by the field for the field. And so as a unique differentiator, aside from the ease of use of the platform, which is really our number one differentiator, we operate our platform in offline mode. So really, early stage platforms were Windows-based platforms that needed, internet connectivity or strong cellular connectivity to be effective for the field worker. Very, very frustrating for the field worker to get halfway through, that 5-page form and now be kicked off the internet. Well, we've solved that problem as we allow for the platform to be fully functional in offline mode. So really expanding on digital and the digital innovation that clients want to drive while making it easy to use, and then listening to our clients about where we can improve upon that has led us to where we are today.
See, I like when you said listening to your clients, because that's my mantra, and what I do is to go out there and actually talk to them. I try to get as dirty as I possibly can, because I could be this design engineer and sit in a lab and figure out how to design a glove that looks good to me, but it doesn't might not necessarily work for the guys in the field. But I like the offline part. I used to use a hazard assessment app that was just like what you described. It only worked if it had a connection. Sometimes when you're in the middle of New Mexico or South Texas, you don't have a connection. So I say that is a marked improvement. That caught my eye. You guys are a couple years in. What are and Jeff, if you want to answer this one, what are some real world successes so far? Who have you? You don't have to name the company, obviously, but some successes in improving safety and or lowering costs.
So there's a number that I can point to, and let me be more detailed. So in the U.S. specifically, we're relatively new, and that's part of my charter of coming on board. We've got a number of accounts that have brought us south of the border and expanding conversations with them. And Cam can enlighten on add a little bit on this aspect, but we've been selected by Fluor for their LNG Canada project in Kitimat, BC, which is dubbed the safest project on the planet. And they selected our little software company to be their HSE backbone. Since we've been able to expand that relationship with them, and we're extremely proud of it. So we're in Australia and Japan with them already, and very exciting. That's led to a number of very fantastic discussions with other partners and ongoing discussions south of the border today with a number of those. But if you look at areas where we've materially changed, right, this very much leads down the ESG standpoint, which is obviously a hot topic for folks.
That's what we're about.
So if you look at things like leveraging operate by priority, right? So how do I go high grade the tasks of a field worker today? We've got a client north of the border that we've been working with, but for their 150-person organization, by leveraging this operate by priority methodology, they've been able to reduce their environmental footprint to the point of taking 40 vehicles off the road for an entire year. For an organization that size, that is a monumental task, right? If you look at an expansion on that, the digitization of forms and improving that efficiency for about 1,000-person organization. They generate about 2 million pages of documents every year just on doing standard forms.
We've seen the bullets.
Right. So if you take that out and extrapolate it out, that's the equivalent of 238 trees that you're saving just by that organization of digitizing the workflow. So it makes a material difference, which today ESG shows up on everybody's annual report, and we're very excited to be making an impact in that space. Maybe Cam, you can expand on the HSE aspects, which I think is part of the conversation.
No, it's a great summary, Jeff. I'll turn it back over.
Okay. One question I kind of wanted to ask you guys. You're from Calgary. We're here in Texas. Obviously, our primary customer is going to be energy focused, and we know those sectors very well, and how they work, and I can see from the get-go how this would be wonderful for those sectors, right? For those types of companies. Can you tell us any examples or, how well or how good of a fit Field Safe would be for other sectors, and what sectors in particular, what industries in particular?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And certainly the energy sector is a prime sector for us. That said, our ideal client has three attributes, right? The first is they're an asset-based business. They don't make their money off people, they make their money off of the asset. The second is that they have a rural component. As we spoke of earlier, delivering safety performance further outside of a metropolitan area becomes more and more difficult. And then the third is, in the first paragraph of the annual report, the CEO, she or he, uses the word safety. So when things go badly at that company, it's not about cybersecurity, it's not about, currency risk. It's about safety, and bad things happen when safety isn't at top of mind, and we hope all of our clients can benefit from our platform. So when you start to look at those types of organizations that fit in those ideal client space, now we start to talk about organizations in the utility space, organizations in the transportation space, rail, grain, those types of organizations that have a good number of remote and lone workers who are constantly challenged with getting their information back from home office to the field, or from the field to home office rather, in real time. So many different verticals. As a growth organization, focus becomes really important. And so although there are tremendous opportunities in the healthcare space with remote nursing, the education space with remote learning, and like we've really put our arms around the energy services business and those organizations that I just mentioned.
Okay. Two things you just point out that really stood out to me. I'm in PISA. I remember PISA. I'm on the HSC committee, and I think I kind of mentioned this to Jeff before. I was part of the COVID task force when it first began, and we were with some, a couple of people from NOV, Schlumberger, and we were tasked with coming up with a template response plan, because generally speaking, these companies only had a disaster plan. It was never specifically a pandemic plan. So we had to come up with that plan, and the number one focus, the number one pain point was communication. How is this going to be communicated? Because there's how many different companies working on a rig site at one time. So simplifying that, I can see as a great one. Another thing I've noticed too, Jeff mentioned reducing cars out there. That has its environmental impact, and that's very important. You talk to any safety person from any major corporation, and driving is their number one safety concern. I wish, I'm in the hand safety business. I wish it was number one, but it's not. It's certainly driving. So I think you're hitting on two big pain points with companies. So, I see a really good way to solve a lot of safety problems there, and I like it.
Well, and you hit on a good point there, right? Because over 40% of the incidents with any organization are involve a vehicle. Right. Mm-hmm. And safety professionals know these things. Mm-hmm. And so our goal is to understand that although that's the industry standard, where are the pain points of that organization? Where can they see areas for improvement? And then work with that safety professional to have conversations at the business level, whether it's with vice presidents of operations, VPs of finance, and the like, mm-hmm. to help them begin to talk about the return they're going to receive on the software, the improvement of safety performance, operational efficiency, operational excellence. And oh, by the way, we've also thrown in something for your probably newly minted VP of sustainability, right? and so when we combine all of those conversations, we move from an app to a platform. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so when you spoke earlier about the differentiator, what are you doing are you building something new? Yeah. Or are you expanding on? What our clients tell us is we're a platform, right? And we have something in there for many parts of the organization. And now we can deliver that to the field to get data back from the field to home office in real time. Now we're having an impact on their organization across many facets.
Next question, I kind of wanted to, I guess this is more of a question on behalf of your safety professional that's listening to this podcast. They're going to see this and they're going to see immediate benefits, of course, who wouldn't, but they're going to have a hard time selling any new cost to the organization. How are you guys, I guess, what kind of ammo are you giving these safety people to go to their operations, to go to their procurement, to go to their sourcing, or whoever they may have to go to for approval to, for example, Jeff mentioned, the real time numbers. This is what we save. This is what we come up with. How are you helping them when they go to present this product to their management?
Yeah, it's a great point. So aside from the aforementioned areas where, we're going to reduce CO2 emissions, we're going to improve digital and drive less paper, save trees and the like, for the sustainability organization, we're also going to work and drive a lot of that administrative task and the costs of driving that administrative task out. So what we like to say is we want data to be born digital and die digital. So as soon as it's born on paper and there's a clipboard involved, there's a cost to get that information to become digital. And what we're trying to do and successfully have done with many clients is drive timely, accurate, and structured data from the field back to home office without additional human intervention. So most organizations, it would be, with take an organization with 5 locations, they would have an administrator at every location who does nothing but chase paperwork and enter data. And even when they do that effectively, and many of these people are very good at their jobs, now they have to take their time to keystroke that data in to some type of repository that eventually gets consolidated, and 2 to 3 weeks later, in many instances, management gets the information they need about what's truly taking place in the field. So that administrative burden is a big area of savings for our clients. And then as we look at attracting the next generation of workers, these are people that if you're under 30 years old, you grew up on that mobile device in the last decade. And so how do we allow organizations to have be more attractive to that generation that they're attempting to lure and recruit into what is now back at $65 oil, where we're gonna be in that mode again. Yeah. And so we drive operational efficiency gains. We're gonna assist with less administrative time. We're gonna assist with recruiting. We're gonna make sure that we have the data available for the regulators, so that we don't have to go scramble to create an audit trail, to meet all the regulatory requirements at year end. And so all of these areas and others are ways that we can drive efficiency and cost savings in the organization. And we'd like to work with each of those safety professionals through their unique business case, which we have plenty of experience doing so.
And some case studies on the website as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's nothing like a good case study. Say, hey, this worked for another organization. It might work for us very well as well.
Over the past few years, and especially, the Oilfield 360 podcast is recorded in here, and you hear data, and it's really nice to see it be pushed into the safety side of things, because I'll tell you what I've discovered is organizations, especially behemoths, they don't capture safety costs very well because they come in different areas. So no one person is responsible. This guy sees the downtime loss in operations. This person, this organization, this part of the organization sees the insurance rise. This part of the organization sees the medical. So we have to do the same thing that you're doing. We have to make the business case, and we have to say, look, there's a lot of savings here. There's a lot of potential savings here. But what I like most of all about what you said on the safety side, is that you're freeing up safety professionals to do their jobs more, and you're giving them real-time information, because that repository you talked about can be really poor in a lot of cases if it gets read at all in a lot of cases. So I really like that, and I think that's something that would be very interesting to a lot of safety people, especially at some of these larger oil companies.
Well, and technology has been the friend of the field worker, and let me explain to you what I mean by that is cloud technology enables a crawl, walk, run approach for deployment. So if we were talking 10 years ago, this conversation would be something to the effect of the safety professional going to ask their operations team for $1 million to deploy software to the field. And that would involve a server and rack space and back-end technologies and the like, and a large long-term investment in a platform that the safety professional was gonna have to take some risk on to get into their organization. Clouds change that. And so cloud technology allows organizations to take 40 or 50 users, right, and spend 60 days with FieldSafe, with our sales team, with our client success team, and prove out what we believe is going to happen to drive that adoption, to improve that change management, and then move forward into a longer term agreement between the organizations. So cloud has enabled that the same way that, when you decide you wanted to be a Netflix customer, you clicked on a button, and by the way, they gave you, the download and the software immediately, right? Well, that's how cloud technology operates in terms of deployment time to value, and allows our clients to ensure that we're a good business fit for them and they're a good business fit for us before we enter into a longer term arrangement.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming on. I think what you're doing, I think it has a lot of legs. I think people are going to really like it, especially moving into the U.S. market, and they are moving towards a more environmentally, ESG focused company. So this is right up that alley. I think it's a really great thing. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of it. I think my audience will get a lot out of it. Where can people learn more about your company?
Yeah, great. So www.fieldsafesolutions.com is our website. We appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and on behalf of Jeff and myself, thanks for hosting us. It's been great.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show and accept the mission. Please subscribe to the Mission Zero podcast on your preferred streaming service, and be sure to give us a 5-star review.